1971 to 1974. Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler.
Game 81, Mets at Astros.
Welcome back, baseball fans. 1971-74 Carryover League. We are back in the National League tonight. Second round action featuring teams who won their divisions a year ago, the Mets and the Astros. Both teams won their opening series. The Mets beat Las Vegas, and Houston beat the Big Red Machine. That was a big upset. 3-1 for the Astros. And so these two teams have a chance. The winner of this series can kind of, bragging rights in the National League. Probably have the best record in the National League, the winner of this, at the end of the first 2 rounds of the season. Still very early, but bragging rights is bragging rights, right? Let's take a look what happened in game number 1. Game number 1 in the Dome, the 8th wonder. Jon Matlack versus Larry Dierker. Matlack just continues his Strat-O-Matic mastery. Unbelievable. Ever since we got this guy's card in the league, he's been the Mets' best pitcher for 2 years now, 2+ years. 2 years and 3 starts. He's been the Mets' best pitcher, out-pitching Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman. In this game, top of the 5th, scoreless, RBI single by Jerry Grody, 1-zip Mets. Bottom of the 5th, after 2 outs, Dick Billings, the platoon catcher against lefties, hits a solo homer. His only homer he would hit, as the card indicates, against left-handed pitching in that season. And he hit it. The game is tied at 1 into the top of the 7th inning when the Mets get a nice little rally here. A double, a single, ground out, strikeout, but then you get a walk, RBI single by Cleon Jones, 2-run single by John Milner, and that'll chase Dierker in the 7th. Tub McGraw comes on in the 9th, 3 up and 3 down. That's your ball game. Final score: Mets 4, Astros 1. A road win for the Mets. And today we have a game number 2. Game 2 from the Astrodome. Nice matchup here. Starting to get away from the aces for a little bit since we saw them on opening day. Let's get deeper into these rotations. We've got Jerry Koosman for the Mets in 73. He was 14-game winner with a 2.84 ERA and 263 innings. Typical Koosman year in the timeline. And for your Astros, a very young Ken Forsch of 1971. 188 innings pitched with a 2.54 ERA. Starter 7, relief 4. Can't pitch on 3 days rest though. Oddly enough, it's weird. The weird part about this is that you send him back to the bullpen to be a relief starter after this great season. You would think that would cement him into the rotation moving forward, but that wasn't the case. Anyway, we love Ken Forsch in Houston for the Stros at home in a game 2. Need to win this one to even things up. Let's get started. Leading off for your Mets, it'll be Wayne Garrett. 6'11", short X. Some great defensive shortstops. If you're wondering why the Mets and the Astros won their divisions a year ago, good shortstop defense helps at least. Metzger's a 1E14, Harrelson's a 1E17, and that is one eaten up ground ball. 1 out. Cleon Jones, 6'10", walks. C Stealer with a 71 card. John Milner, 34, is a 163 double play. Bottom of the 1st, Joe Morgan, 1-2 Lomax. Jimmy Wynn batting 2nd today, 411 left X. Out in left field is Cleon Jones, a 2E6 in left, and he makes the grab. And Bob Watson, 1-2, flies to center field. Top of 2, Willie Mays, 54 catcher's card. Billings, a 3E16 catcher, and he's out. Easy Ed Cranepool, 1-4, rolls the 2nd, and with 2 outs, it's Bobby Darwin, new acquisition, signed in the offseason. Corner outfielder, 65, pops to short. Bottom of 2, it's Doug Rader. 3-9, grounds to third. Cesar Cedeno, 6'11", back to the mound. Kuzman, an E11 pitcher. Oh, and Kuzman botches the comebacker to the mound. Couldn't get a grip on it, make a throw over to first. Cedeno beats it out. That's going to be an error charged to Jerry Kuzman. Cedeno's double-A stealer. Grody's a -2 arm catcher, but I think Cedeno's flying. And he's in there stealing second. Runner at second, one out. They want to make the Mets pay for the error. It'll be Jose Cruz. 57 is a K. With 2 outs, it's Danny Cater. 66 off Kuzman, single, 1-18 gets it, but it loads the bases for Roger Metzger. 111's a walk. Oh, here we go to Dick Billings, who was responsible for the only Astro run in Game 1. Got the bases loaded and 2 outs. The pitch to Dick Billings. 2-4 is a roller to shortstop, and that will end that threat for the Astros. Top of the third, Lee Lacy for the Mets. 39 is double one single. Bud Harrelson loves to hit and run in these situations, and he will. Hit and run, 7 has to steal. Steals a 5, steals second base, does Lee Lacy. Now Harrelson, I don't like the bunt in the third inning, but it'd be nice to move the runner to the third on a ground ball if you can there, Bud. Pitch to Bud Harrelson. 1-3, no, he pops to short. Well, forget that. Jerry Grody. 4-11, first X. This will get him over there with 2 outs. Cater's a 3-18. Makes the play. So you got a runner at third, but there's 2 outs. And the leadoff hitter, Wayne Garrett, and his 72 walks. 57 is a K. Still scoreless. Bottom of the third. Not surprising, though. Great pitching staffs here. Good defense. Joe Morgan, 1-9 is a walk. Double-A stealer, he's going to take off, and that is the strategy. Yeah, I know Grody's got a -2 arm and all that, but the Astros, they have to take some shortcuts here against this great Met pitching staff if they can. With the stolen base, the batter now is Jimmy Wynn, the toy cannon. 67, flies to left. Bob Watson. 2-5, let's take a look at Bob Watson's card of 1973. 312 hitter, 16 homers, 85 walks. Can play left field, first, catch, and DH in our league, of course. Really crushes lefties here. 2-5, triple, 1-4, double. It's a 2-base hit, and the Astros enjoy a 1-0 lead. Runner at second for Doug Rader. 1-8's a walk. 2 on for Cedeno. 110, single to right field. Watson will not challenge the -2 arm of Darwin. Bases are loaded, 1 out. They are going to play back for Jose Cruz. Hopefully they get a double play instead of bring it up. 4-11 off the Kuzman card is left X, and this is Cleon. He's a 2E6 in left field. And it's going to be a sac fly, fly ball B. If it was a fly ball C, we'd just have a 7 there, or /7 for left field put out. So that is a sac fly. It is 2-0. It's funny, I put a 0 in there instead of a 1. It is 2-0 now, with runners at first and second and 2 outs, and the batter is Danny Cater. 67, flies left. 2-0 Astros. RBI single by RBI double by Watson and a sac fly. We go to the fourth. Cleon Jones, 46, second X. Joe Morgan's a 2E12. Makes the play. John Milner, 63, first. With 2 outs, it's Willie Mays. 58, flies to center field. Nice start for Mr. Forsch. Bottom of the fourth. Roger Metzger. 412 rolls back to the mound. Dick Billings, 43. Bouncer to first X. Ed Cranepool's playing first today. He's a 3E3 at first. That's going to be a single off the 2. Joe Morgan, runner at first, 1 out. 2-7 pops to the second. And with 2 outs, The Toy Cannon, 1-2. This is trouble. Ground ball short, B++ injury. While the plus on the base running side won't affect anything as the runner was not being held, so that the inning's over. The plus injury, though, means a lot. That means that the Toy Cannon is out of the game in left field. And for this squad, the other left fielders on the team are Bob Watson and Joe Haig, who is a better first baseman. So they'll take Win out. They'll put Dennis Menke in the game in his spot. Make him a first baseman. First baseman Cato will go to DH, and Bob Watson will have to play left field. That fixes the defense as we go to the fifth. 2-0 Astros. Hopefully the defender in left field, Bob Watson, won't hurt the Astros too much in this. Trying to even this series up. Top of the fifth, Ed Kranepool. 2-9, rolls the first. Bobby Darwin, 64, center X. This is Cedeno, 1-8 in center. Yes, call it. All glove on that one. And with 2 outs, it's Lee Lacy. 3-12, rolls to third, Mr. Ken Forsch. 1 hit through 5 frames. Let's go to the bottom of the fifth and pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay, bottom of the fifth. Bob Watson will lead it off. 1-5 is ball 4. Doug Rader. 5-11 is a walk. Here's Kuzman getting wild again. Cedeno. 5-10. Catcher's card. Grody's a 2-6. Pass ball, though. And you got runners at second and third. They're going to bring it up this time. They're down 2-zip. Jose Cruz, the infield up. 67. There's a K. And with 2 outs, can he pitch out of the mess? Danny Cater. 68 flies to left field. Astros may regret. They put a ton of guys on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 men on base. Only scored a couple. And you're really putting some pressure on Ken Forsch here as we go to the 6th inning. Bud Harrelson. 2-7 is a base hit for Bud and Ace Steeler. Well, these two guys at the bottom like to do the hit and run thing as well. Harrelson and Grody. They're going to do it, even though they're down a couple of runs. The hit and run, and 8 is rolled. That'll move the runner to second base. I mean, you want to just have the lead here. Get it 1 run here, another run in 3 innings. Wayne Garrett. 55 is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Cleon Jones. 2-7 is a strikeout. Ken Forsch will have none of this. He is not interested in the New York Mets at all. I can give a rip about this team. Bottom of the 6th inning of a 2-0 game. Here's Roger Metzger. 2-3 flies to right. Dick Billings, 67, flies left. These low-scoring games, not a big reason to show you the cards. They're not hitting any of the columns anyway. Joe Morgan, 2-7, bobs to second base. Well, we go to the 7th. Forsch, 2-0 lead. Can we give him a little bit more defense? No, not really. The best defenders they have are in there, so they will let this game continue to the top of the 7th. 2-0 Astros. And we have the 3-4-5 hitters, Milner, Mays, and Kranepool, coming to the plate. Here is John Milner. 37 is a walk. And let's take a look at a card. Now it is Willie Mays at the plate. Here's the Willie Mays card of 1971. Dude, he's a 40-year-old 2 with a -2 arm in center field. I don't even know how that could possibly... How can you have that much range and arm when you're 40 years old in center field? Well, Willie Mays certainly is a unique person in Major League Baseball history, and so that's probably the only guy I can think of who would have such great defense at that age. 271 year in 71, 18 homers, 112 walks with this card. A Steeler. A Steeler. My goodness. Wheels. Still has them. That's why the Mets made the trade for him a year ago. They wanted to get him from San Francisco when he still had some legs left. So they picked up a 70 card and a 71 card. It'll get kind of rough next year and the year after that. But in any event, after all that, here is the pitch to Willie Mays. 1-8 is a walk. Hit the column, missed the double. 2 on, and now Ken Force, a little bit of trouble here. He breaks in the 7th. He's throwing a shutout. Not a good reason just to hook the dude. Their bullpen is pretty shaky anyway. So here is Ed Kranepool. 54 off of Force is center X. This should be gobbled up by Mr. Cedeno, and it is. 1 out. Bobby Darwin. 1-6 is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Lee Lacy. Let's take a look at this Lacy card. A lot of doubles for this guy. 74, 73 and 74 Lacy was mostly a second baseman, but some guy named Davey Lopes took that job. And so instead of just sitting on the bench forever or as a utility player, Mets swiped him away from the Dodgers and said, you can probably play every day here. We're not going to have anybody better at second base. We got rid of Millan. No Felix Millan. Ted Martinez isn't really thrilling. And Doug Flynn's about 5 or 6 years away. So it's all yours, Lee. Lee Lacy, 2 on, 2 outs here in the 7th. Here's the pitch. 56 is a fly ball to center field. We have a 2-hitter for Ken Force. Stretch time in the 7th inning here. We are enjoying listening to Glenn Campbell's 1974 in the timeline. Houston, coming to see you. Let's throw that one on, matter of fact. There you go. Houston, I'm coming to see you. From Mr. Glenn Campbell, 74 in the timeline. Let's get back to the game. 2-0. Kuzman's still out there, hanging in there. And it'll be Dennis Mankey for the injured Jim Wynn. 4-11, left X. A lot of fly balls to Cleon today, and he caught all of them. 1 out. Bob Watson. 66, single 1 of 18, gets it. Doug Rader. Let's take a look at the Doug Rader card before he swings. 1972 Doug Rader, 22 home runs. Great defensive third baseman. Batting average a little low, 237. Could use a big swing here with 1 out. Some insurance. The pitch to Doug Rader. 3-6 is a 6-4-3 double play. That's not what the Astros had in mind. That rally got a little, turn it down a little bit now. That got a little, rally got it subverted there. Not very good. We go to the 8th inning. It's 2-0. No defense to bring in. 2 base runners would get Mr. Force to his point of weakness. Frank Lindsay's a pretty decent closer. Jim Ray's a good setup guy. The 2 lefties, Danilo Master and Mike Cosgrove, not so much. Let's see how it goes. Here we are. Leading off in the top of the 8th inning will be Bud Harrelson. 37. Bud walks. He is 1 for 2 plus a walk today. Gosh, only the 3rd at bat, and we're already in the 8th inning. Now, 2-0 game. Last time they did a little hit and run action, but I think we're a little bit too late in this battle to be thinking about hitting and running here. I think you just got to swing away. Can't just, give up the out in that manner. So Jerry Grody will swing away this time. 59, lines a second. Back up top with Wayne Garrett. 47 is a K, and with 2 outs. Cleon Jones, let's take a look at Cleon's card. 14 home runs and a .319 batting average in 1971 and 568 plate appearances. Probably Cleon's last big year. We'll continue through to 1974, have a decent year in a part-time role. But this is pretty much it for Cleon in this timeline. As the tie run, here is the pitch to Cleon Jones. 55, flies left, off of Force. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Kuzman, well, he's going to continue. He hasn't hit his point of weakness yet, and still wants to get a chance at a possible win if the Mets come back. So here's Cesar Cedeno, 34 rolls to short. Jose Cruz, 2-5, rolls to first. Danny Cater, 4-10, lines to first. Oh, well, here we go, folks. Buckle up. Ninth innings are here already. 2-0 game. Ken Forsch, he got a break by not putting a guy on in the eighth. So they have to reset the point of weakness to, at which point, I'd probably hook him after two guys were to reach so he can't take a loss. But Ken Forsch is going to attempt the CGSO off the big bad New York Mets here today in the Astrodome. Again, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters that gave him trouble in the seventh. John Milner will lead it off. Here's the pitch. 2-5, rolls the second. Willie Mays. 2-11 is a fly ball to left, and the fans are going crazy here in the Astrodome. Ed Kranepool, let's take a look at Ed. He is a .280 hitter with 14 home runs in 1971 and 460 plate appearances. All versus righties, not against lefties. And needs to get on base to keep this thing going. The pitch to Ed Kranepool. 1-3 is a roller to first base. That will do it, folks. And boy, Ken Forsch getting mobbed at the mound. Nice CGSO on this one, folks. My goodness. A two-hitter for Ken Forsch. His biggest start yet in an Astro uniform. So congratulations, Ken Forsch, with a complete game. 2 hits shot out, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Jerry Koosman, tough luck loser today. Just 5 hits and a couple runs. Did very well. 5 walks, 2 strikeouts. He gets a complete game also. And the series is tied up a game apiece. 1009, 0108. 2502, 2502, 4552, 5245. That just kind of shows you, folks, the top teams in the National League, you know, they all battle. I mean, they all battle tough. They're not going to roll over. After the Mets got that road win in Game 1, I suspected the Astros would have something up their sleeve in Game 2. And it wouldn't surprise me if this series goes 5 games. The Mets, however, have a remarkable regular season streak. They've won every series they've participated in since the beginning of 2022, other than the National League Championship Series a year ago, which they lost, to, of course, to the Cincinnati Reds. So that was painful for the Mets to lose the NLCS to the Reds after winning everything else. So at this point in the season, the Astros are 4-2, and the Mets, I believe, they are 4-3. Are they not? Let's double check that. Yeah, the Mets are 4-3. This very early juncture. And 81 games in, the league is hitting .252, 317 on base, a 325 ERA, and a 135 WHIP. And that's it. We'll give you the results of the rest of this series at the end of the video. When the series goes to Shea Stadium, Game 3, the Houston squad will send Gary Peters out there, Bob Johnson in Game 4. The Mets will counter in Game 3 with Gary Gentry. And in Game 4, it'll be Tom Seaver, who pitched the last game of their first series, which is why you don't see him until Game 4 of the second series. So Gary Gentry and Tom Seaver. And if it goes back to Houston for Game 5, it'll be Matt Lack and Larry Dierker repeating in Game 1. So we'll see you at the end of the video with the results. Well, folks, here's the box score from Game 1 of the series. The Mets winning that one 4-1. Matt Lack beating Larry Dierker. Then the box score in Game 2 that you just saw. This is, of course, Ken Forsch beating Jerry Koosman. 2-0, complete game shutout. 2 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Koosman, 5 hits, 2 runs, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts. So the series would shift to Shea Stadium. Very competitive, these two squads. What happens in Shea in game number 3? Well, extra innings happens. This is a wild one, folks. Low scoring as you can imagine with these two teams. Everything is some tough pitching and defense. But it is the Mets who get the first advantage. In the bottom of the 6th inning, today's pitchers are Gary Peters versus Gary Gentry, the number 3 pitcher for the Astros, number 4 pitcher for the Mets. Bottom of the 6th inning, Dave Marshall's a grounder back to Gary Peters. He kicks it for an error. After a ground out, Willie Mays makes him pay for that error with a 2-run homer. 2 runs on 1 hit for the Mets in that inning. 2-0. Meanwhile, Gary Gentry's throwing a shutout through 6 innings, a 4-hit shutout. But in the 7th, a single to Jose Cruz, fielder's choice Cedeno, Johnny Edwards single. Tyne runs on base, about to hit the point of weakness. They pull Gentry throwing a shutout, and they bring in Cy Costa. He strikes out Bob Watson, but with 2 outs, Joe Haig, a .235 hitting first baseman, hits a 3-run homer with 2 outs. Real backbreaker there, and the Astros take a 3-2 lead off of Cy Acosta. No biggie, because in the 8th inning, Jim Ray comes in for the Astros, a single for Bud Harrelson, and then Willie Mays, an RBI double. Harrelson scores from first on the double to tie the game at 3. The game stays this way all the way into the 12th inning. We had inning in the 3rd for Acosta, 2 shutout innings for Tub McGraw. Meanwhile, for the Astros, Denny LeMaster comes out of the Astro bullpen with 3 shutout innings. What is going on with this supposedly susceptible Astro bullpens pitching lights out? Top of the 12th, Cedeno singles, steals a base, but with 1 out. Bob Watson, 2-run blast off of Harry Parker, the last Met pitcher. Frank Lindsay comes in to close out the save in the bottom of the 12th. That is your final. Houston 5, Mets 3 in 12 innings. Denny LeMaster gets the win with 3 innings of relief. Frank Lindsay gets a save. Met bullpen, Acosta blew a save with a solo home run. Harry Parker took the loss with a 2-run home run. In between all that, Danny Frisella pitched an inning in the 3rd, and Tub McGraw pitched 2 scoreless innings. But not a good look for the Mets. They had 7 base runners in this game. They did not draw a walk. They did not draw a walk against Houston pitchers. Meanwhile, the Astros got 10 hits and 4 walks. They doubled them in base runners. Kind of deserved to win that one 5-3. So what happens in Game 4 in Shea Stadium? Well, but big game, Bob Johnson against Tom Seaver. Let's come out with the good news first for Mets fans. Tom Seaver's first 6 innings, he's got a no-hitter. 2 batters over the minimum, a couple walks, a no-hitter for Tom Seaver. Bottom of the 4th inning, an RBI single for Ed Kranepool. It's 1-0. Then the 7th inning happens, and everything gets dark and gloomy and sad in Shea. As Tom Seaver toes the rubber in the top of the 7th, he walks Jose Cruz. A single to Cedeno. A walk to Johnny Edwards. A mound visit by the pitching coach. But then a walk to Bob Watson. And a walk to Joe Haig. And a single to Doug Rader. And a walk to Roger Metzger. And I've seen enough. It's awful. It's a complete Tom Seaver implosion in the top of the 7th inning. 7 straight batters reached by a walk or single. I don't think that ever happened in his career. Met fans might want to chime in on that one. The first reliever in this situation, Danny Frisella. Yeah, he, with the bases loaded, the toy cannon Jim Wynn hits a grand slam. And just like that, it is a 9-run 7th inning. 7 of those runs charged to Seaver, 2 of them charged to Frisella, and that is the nightmare. It's all academic at that point. The Astros win this thing 9-2. Bob Johnson goes 6 innings, gives up 4 hits and a run. Cosgrove and Lindsay finish the game. Tom Seaver, 6 innings. Listen, look at this, folks. 6 innings. He gave up just 2 hits, but he gave up 7 runs, 7 walks, 4 strikeouts. The Astros walked 9 times in this game. The Mets actually walked 7 times in this game. The Mets put 13 men on base. The Astros put 14 men on base. It's just that they all came in a row like this. This is where you really got to work a Bud Harrelson short X in here somewhere to get out of this jam, but These Astros, man, it is their year. The Astros take control of the National League early on. They're 6-2. They beat the world champion Reds. They beat the best team in the National League by record a year ago in the New York Mets. Look out for these Astros, folks. They are a nasty, angry team. They are 6-2. It's very, very early in the season, of course, and now they have to go through their daunting division schedule against the Dodgers and Giants and Padres. And I don't know who they play in interleague, but yeah. Congratulations, Houston Astros beating the Mets 3-1. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.